Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, and do you hate road noise as much as I do? Let's do something about it. All right, also let's talk about this project and the reasons why you're going to want to do this yourself. Now, hopefully you've seen my video series because this is going to be part 2 or stage 2 of my Soundskins upgrade into this BMW X3. Now, we all love the sound of our cars, right? The engine is cool, the turbo's cool, the exhaust's cool, that's awesome, right? What's not cool is road noise, tire hiss, all the rest of that just background noise that detracts from our drive. It distracts us and also raises that sound floor in our car for our audio systems. One of the best ways to fix that is Soundskins. Make sure to check out my stage 1 video for this car where we layer in Soundskins Pro plus the wavy foam through all the doors, cuts down that noise significantly. Now we're gonna go full stage 2, which means Soundskins through the entire cabin bowl. We're gonna walk through the entire car to cut down that noise. Now, this isn't a hard project. It's simply just cutting lots and lots of Soundskins and working through the car. I'm gonna walk you through this whole process. But the first thing we gotta do is actually start moving the seats. So let's start there. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the job. And I've done some setup already. I've taken out the floor mats. I've cleaned up the car a little bit. And I'm gonna take several steps here along the way just to make this easier. I'm also gonna vacuum my car. This is gonna be a great opportunity to get underneath the seats and everything that you normally wouldn't be able to get to. Plus, it makes the job cleaner as we do the work. But Soundskins we're gonna lay completely along the floorboards, underneath, all the way through to the back seat, under the back bench, and all the way into the trunk area, the storage area. So we're gonna be taking the seats out, we're gonna be taking the back seat out, we're gonna be taking lots of little pieces along the way. But, and this will be the first time I say it, and you'll probably hear it from me a lot, do not unplug your seats with the battery connected. Now, right now, the battery is absolutely connected because we have to be able to get to these bolts right here. So you run the seats all the way back, and these are normally T45s or T50s. I'll have the right size for you here in a second. We run the seat all the way back so we can get to the front bolts. We run the seats all the way forward so we can get to the back bolts. We need to have power to do that, to be able to move the seat back and forth to get to those bolts, okay? So do that first, and I'll walk you through that. But ironically enough, I'm actually gonna vacuum my car first. I'm gonna go through and make sure all the carpet's clean, because as we pull up all the carpet and do with all this, I don't wanna be getting any extra dirt around or dirt underneath the carpet. So I'm gonna vacuum really quick. I'm gonna show you how to take the front seats out. I'm gonna show you how to take the back seat bench out, and we're gonna start this project. All right, a little little cleanup, and I'll get underneath the seats once the seats are removed as well. So go ahead and run the seat back as far as it'll go. These are T50, so Torx T50 bolts, front, on both sides. Run the seat forward as far as it'll go, get both of the rear bolts, and then position the seat roughly in the middle. That's gonna make it the easiest to get it out once we get it out. But get all those bolts out, do not unplug your seats, and then we're gonna disconnect the battery, and then we can take the seats out. Front seats are, all right, so the front seats are unbolted, so they're good to go. I've run them back to that middle position and seat backs upright. You can also drop the headrest too a little bit, potentially, depending on how high they are. Again, to help you get it out of the door frame. Now, the back seat, we're gonna take out very, very easily. About 95% of the BMWs ever made, the back seat bench comes out very easily. There's a few exceptions. If you check out my X1 Soundskins video, the back seat is one solid piece. That's a whole nother animal. Backseat bench in this case is you just pop up. I've already popped free that side. You come around, you pop the other side free, just like that. And then the backseat bench will just feed itself out. Okay, now we do have that middle strap that we're gonna have to take off. I generally don't undo the seat belts just because of the complications, or I don't wanna have to worry about that. To get this bench out, we're gonna need to. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. All right, so the center shoulder harness connects down right here. It's another T50 bolt, so you'll just be able to take that off and then feed this out through. When you pick the bench up, it's gonna slide around your seat belts. Should be really easy to get out. Once this is off, go ahead and take this out and set it safely aside. Make sure to set it somewhere clean so the leather doesn't get scuffed or anything like that, but then the bench will be out. We're gonna disconnect the battery next. All right, so you can get to the battery just in this back section with these little twist locks, like I said, and this will lift up and see your battery. I've gone ahead and pulled the expanding rivets here and here to be able to pull up the entire carpet piece, because we're going to be getting back behind this. Now, it's too bad this carpet piece doesn't come out easily, because it's actually looped behind the hinges there in the back, as you can see. Or you could just pull this whole thing out. Now, I'm not going to worry about this right now. We are going to be putting Soundskins through this bowl, again, cutting down on more noise. But what I'll just do when the time comes is I will just use a bungee cord, and I will just bungee this whole thing up like this. So I don't have to worry about taking the carpet out or pulling those additional hinges out. As we go through this process, I have no problem doing the work. That doesn't bother me. But if there's some step I can skip or some work I can reduce, I'm going to do it. So in this case, I'll just bind this whole thing up with a bungee cord to the back seats and hold it up out of the way when we go to put the Soundskins back here, which will be one of the last things we do. So if you look here, you have a 10mm nut. This is your ground post. Go ahead and loosen that nut. Don't take it off entirely. Pull the ground post off. Tuck it safely aside. All right, now that power is safely off in your car, you can unplug your seats. So this is a big horseshoe collar. This is the driver's side seat. You just depress the little tab and rock that collar back, and then the plug will come out just like that. Now, what will frequently happen, and we'll look as we get the seat back, as you can see in this case, it's actually on a little locking tab right here underneath the seat. So go ahead and just work that pin out. It's just a plastic pin, just like that. All right. And this is always the discovery process. What's under my seats? So as soon as I move both seats, I'm going to vacuum again. I'm going to vacuum all of this. I'm going to vacuum under where the back bench was and all the rest. Now the seat itself, what you really want to do is just be super careful. Take your time. You don't want to scratch anything up. You don't want to ding up your seats or your door sills or anything else like that. Just shift it forward and out. Keep in mind, the seat belt is still attached to the base of the seat and to the door frame. And that's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to feed the seat out and set it over here out of the way. I try not to undo that seat belt if I can help it. Again, I'm not going to do work I don't need to do. So take that seat, both hands, lift it, get it out cleanly, come out and set it outside the car. All right, so both seats are out. It's all vacuumed up, looks good. I will freely admit there's something really satisfying about being able to actually vacuum underneath your seats and get all the stuff you can never reach, even with a good shop vac. So that said, what we're going to need to do is we need to get to the bare metal underneath this carpet. So what we're going to want to attack first is our door sills. Our door sills help hold all of this down. The rear door sill has a 10mm plastic nut right here. We'll get to that in a second. The B pillar right here, we can usually just pry up the bottom edge. I'll show you that. As we come around and we look at the front seat, this door sill is easy. Just get your fingers underneath the edges of it and pop upwards. There's some big plastic posts that it sits on. Usually leaves the post behind, not a big deal. So go ahead and pop that one. We're also going to want to pull your subwoofer cover. Now, this is a great opportunity to upgrade your audio while you're here. Check out my other videos on that. But those are T20s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, pull out those T20s to pull the cover off your sub. So I'm going to pull that plastic and then the cover, and I'll show you the back door trim. So this back trim piece you actually want to be kind of delicate with. This car has the reclining back seat, so it's got that lever switch right in the middle. You don't want to overstress that connection. Now, if you have to, you can take this side bolster out. I did just so you can see. Lean the seat forward, get your fingers back behind the bolster and pull. There's a large clip that goes in right here. It usually stays behind. You just press a little tab and you can pull that clip out and put it back into that bolster. When that bolster's out, then you can see this top clip that goes in right here. You can pop that clip, work your way down, get your both fingers underneath here and pull upwards. What you don't want to do is just pry on the top and snap it right through the middle. Now, I'm not going to disconnect the switch or that lever. I can just move it out of the way as I'm working either here or here, which will be fine. If you want to also loosen your B pillar, same thing, get underneath it with a plastic trim tool and kind of pop this bottom edge away. And at that point, the carpet is almost entirely free. And I'll show you what it looks like to peel it back starting in the front. So like I mentioned, I usually will kind of peel back the back edge of the B pillar here. I try not to pull the whole thing off if I can avoid it. It just cuts down on having to deal with the hassle of everything that's going on in the B pillar. So now you can grab this front edge of the carpet and start to peel it up and away. So you'll see your seat cable is It's got a hole here in the carpet. You're going to want to feed it down through that hole. Now, we're not going to take the carpet out entirely because that would require taking out the entire center console. We're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is just keep peeling it back so we can get all the way underneath. We're going to pull out the sub so we can get to all of the space underneath. We're going to pull out the foam blocks here that are underneath here in the footwell. We're also going to take out the heating air duct right there. So first thing I'm going to do is feed this cable out through the carpet. And then what I usually do is I will use a bungee cable. Once I get this carpet free, I don't have three hands. I can't hold it all back at once. So what I'll do is once I get the carpet free and can peel it almost entirely back. Now the driver's side is going to be a little bit harder because of your footrest and the pedals. But I peel it 3/4 of the way back, I peel it up towards the steering column, and then I'll use a bungee cord just to secure it up and out of the way. Okay, so let me get that cable out, the carpet peeled back, and then we'll talk about stripping out a couple of these extra pieces. All right, so here we are with the carpet peeled back on both sides. I've used a bungee to 3/4 peel this up. I can get the entire rear seat footwell up and out. Now these foam pieces, this one I already have out because I wanted to show it to you. I want to get this out because I want to be able to get underneath it. There's a post right up here at the top. So if you slide your hand under the carpet to lift, you can get this up and off the little securing post here at the top. Okay, so you got that out. You've got this back piece that will just lift straight out, just like that. So now we've got lots of bare metal. Your sub comes out really easily. There's a little locking tab right here on this plug, if I can do it one-handed. There we go. And then there's two 10mm bolts here and here. And then your sub box will lift up and out as well. Okay, and that'll give us as much bare metal as we can get here in the front seat and the passenger seat. And then we're going to start to look to measure and cut all of our different Soundskins. All right, y'all, so now we've hit the arts and crafts portion of our automotive project. We're going to be measuring and cutting. And we want to get as much material as we can in without interfering with the carpet so it doesn't lay back down properly or the seats or interfere with the seats in any way. So let's use this first space here where the sub was as our first example. Now, I'm only going to show one side and the back seat and the trunk. I won't show the other side because it's going to be exactly the same thing. But what you learn on this side, you can duplicate on the other. So as we measure this and we figure out what size piece we need for this space, we're going to cut two of those because the other one will go on the other side. So by the time you get around to doing, in this case, the passenger side, you're going to be a lot faster at this because all your materials are already going to be cut. So what I always try to do is I measure up the transmission wall here because we can slide the Soundskins up. We're not going to pull the carpet and we're not going to pull the center console, but that doesn't mean we can't get halfway up the transmission tunnel. So I'm going to get my tape measure up really nice and high, measure down, up and over to account for this space here, and then all the way back to the back wall right here. And then of course, all the way across. The heating duct, we're gonna go underneath that. That comes off, by the way, as you're pulling up the carpet by just pulling on it. There's just some plastic ridges that hold that in place, okay? So this is gonna be our first piece. So let's go ahead and get our tape measure out. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we're gonna cut two pieces for this section. Okay, so accounting for the curve of the whole thing up and over the center and up all the way up against this back wall right here, that's basically 30 inches by 10 inches across. So let's go over to our shop roll and measure that out. Is about the roll is that it is 30 inches tall. So all I have to do is measure 10 inches. So let's lay this down, get a nice straight line all the way down and cut off a 10-inch strip. And then go ahead and cut off a second 10-inch strip that we're gonna use on the other. And basically just test fit it, take it and just curve it up into this space. I'm going to curve it up against the transmission wall right there. I don't have it underneath the heating duct yet, but I can tuck it down all through here. And you can see that that's going to fit pretty darn well. It's got a little bit of room on this side, but all in all, that's a good cut. So that's also going to fit really well. Let me get that cable out of the way. It's also going to fit well for the other side. So I've got two pieces to match here. Now we're going to want to do the same thing to this wheel well as well. We're going to do something a little bit different. That we're going to do the back wall and we're going to do some other stuff, but same thing. Measure up here at the top, come all the way across. It's going to be 30 again, chances are. measure from the base here and across. It's going to be more than 10 in this case. So measure that 30 by whatever this is. Cut yourself 2 pieces, 1 for each side. All right, so this piece in the passenger footwell was 30 by 13 all the way across. And then I definitely want to get this wall, and any flat metal surfaces that I can get Soundskins on, I'm going to. So you can see I've got this back wall right here. I don't want to try to make that curve. I mean, Soundskins will rip if you bend it too much. So I want to get every flat surface I can get. So this piece I fit in up against the transmission wall right here, all the way around, and then I'm going to trim it down along this edge because this isn't an even edge. There's a curve right here, but I'm going to bring it around this curve, and then I will have a second piece that goes along this top face right here and comes around this curve as well. Okay, so 30 by 13, measure height and width, measure height and width, and I'm dry fitting everything for now to make sure that it all fits. Same thing here. Now in the front, we've had this heating duct. This is way too hard to get out. It's simply not worth the level of effort that it takes to get this carpet out because of the pedals and this heating duct. So what I'll do is I usually have a rectangular piece that I'll slide forward up here that fills in this space really, really nicely. I've got a scrap piece right here that's actually a good example. I'll just take this and I'll slide it up into this space. I haven't measured it, obviously, but I'll measure up into this space, slide that up underneath, and get good coverage all the way across. That will be underneath that foam block, just like it's underneath that foam block back here in the passenger footwell. Okay, so measure and cut. We'll do all of these sections. I'll get that one last strip for that face, that metal face right there. And then this section will be all dry fit, and we'll talk about getting this all fit in. All right, so we've got all of our pieces. This is a 9 by 18 piece. It's just rectangular. It slides up underneath the carpet. We've got this piece here. We've got the piece in the back now as well. And we have the piece covering this top facet of this line right here. So what we want to do when we start to fit this all into place is you want to roll it out, but you want to lay it out very, very carefully. So what I'll normally do, especially when it's harder to reach those upper sections, I'll peel the top edge of the backing off that edge first and very gently slide it up into place. And then as I feed it down across the metal, I'm peeling the backing from underneath. I'm using my roller. I'm getting under my heating duct, which I'm not right now because I've dry fit in, right? But under the heating duct as much as I can to conform to this shape. I don't want to just tent over the top of it. I want to conform to that shape. So I'm laying it in to conform and laying in all the way against this wall. It's a lot easier than it sounds, and you'll get very good at this by the time the car is done. So go ahead and just start with the center section first, peel it back, lay it in just like I said, and use your roller to help you lay it all out as you go through all of those sections. All right, so I'll show you what that looks like when it's done, and then we'll start using those skills on the other sections. These went in pretty well. So it's all secured down. I used my roller to roll it all out. Now I want to give one example. Soundskins will stretch, which is good, but only so far. So you can see in this case, I've overstretched it just a little bit right there. It's going to be okay, but I also want to show you an example of what you want to try to avoid. So when I lay this in, I laid it up against this wall, then across the top, and then tried to form it down on the side. And it had a little bit of extra gap right there when I laid it down. So when I hit it with the roller, it stretched it a little bit, but that's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. But I also wanted to use it as an example of, how to be careful. Because remember, this tunnel, we've got an even bigger tunnel back here in this back section. So we're going to apply the exact same way. Peel from the top, set that upper top piece in, peeling the backing from underneath and lay it down. Hit the tunnel, lay it against the tunnel, against the wall, over the top, and then back down, and then back up here to the wall on this side. So that's basically what we're going to do on all of these pieces. Now, the one thing that I will suggest as well is that you will have scrap left over. You can always put scrap on these sections as well. Do not put them up the towers, put them up where your seat mounts are. Don't do that. But there's no reason why you couldn't at least put a strip here. And if you wanted to, you could put a strip over the top and down the backside. At a minimum, you could very easily put a strip right here. So once we have some scrap left over from what I'm cutting, I will cover at least the tops here. So what's next? Gonna peel the front, get that done. This is done. Get the back done and do this wall and that wall. Once I cut off these edges and I curve this back a little bit just to show, I've marked it with a pencil where my curve is gonna be, and I'm gonna cut that back and I'm gonna trim this piece back as I go. And then all of that will be on and will look really, really good. All right, you guys, this looks pretty good. All rolled out really well. Had to make just a couple of curve cuts to get this to around this bend. Also, these are the notches for your back bench right here. So I always cut around them. If you get too close, then it won't want to lock down into place. I always cut back and give some extra room around those. So this side is pretty much done. So driver's side is pretty much done. We've got underneath the driver's seat. We've got underneath the sub area. We have the rear passenger seat area up the wall. We've got up the wall here and this lead edge. So the next section is actually going to be here under the back bench that has this furry carpet on it. So we're going to take that, we're going to peel it up. So let me get that out of the way and better lit, and I'll show you what that looks like. We're going to roll out a big long piece down that whole section. All right, so we want to get Soundskins underneath this thin little carpeting. So there's this plastic piece on this side that we need to take it out. It has 3 plastic 10mm nuts here, and here on this corner like this. Comes out and set it safely aside. Now you've got a wiring harness with these little oblong brackets that go down over posts. They're just force fit. So if you get your fingers on both sides and kind of gently rock and pop up, it'll come free. Also, there's a plastic post here and a plastic post back on this one back here. But again, if you get both fingers underneath it and just slowly work it up, it'll pop free. So when we put this back, these will likely not go back into place though. We'll look when we get there. The post will punch through the Soundskins, and so this will go back in place without any problem at all. So again, we get that plastic trim out of the way. We start to work this carpet up, as you can see, and this is the space that we want to get to underneath. And honestly, I'm going to vacuum again while I'm here. But what we're going to want to do is just basically start to piece all of this in. So when you look at this, we've got the seatbelt wiring that comes down. We've got the seatbelts themselves. So what I will usually do is I will measure a square or rectangular piece from this side, to about the seat belt, because I'm going to cut out around this. Same thing from the middle piece here to here, and then on that side as well. So you basically end up being in thirds. I want to come up from this, measure from this edge, from the edge of your Soundskins on this side, down the bowl, and measure it in thirds. Cut out around the seat belts, and then in addition, I always mark, this is your low pressure fuel pump, or the top of your fuel tank right here. So what I will normally do is when I put Soundskins down, and you'll be able to feel it because of the plastic nuts here on top, I usually will mark around it. You almost never need to get in here, but if you need to, it can be marked. And then that'll lay back down. Okay, so I'm going to measure and cut in 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3. I'll show you what that looks like. I usually take a bungee cord, take this and pull this to get this up and out of the way, kind of laid up against the seats back here. And I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so here's dry fitting my first piece. Just curved it around this edge right here, pushed it down over this post, which is where that wiring harness will go back on. Fits in really nicely. In my case, this was 19 inches across by 24 in this particular piece. And you can do it in whatever size pieces you want. I just want to get as much coverage as possible across the space. Keep in mind, cut around your bumps here for your bench seat. And then also, I just cut around the seat belt, making sure that I'm clear of the wiring harness and the seatbelt assembly itself. And it's just nice and neat and clean that way. All right, so I'm going to keep working on those pieces. I'm going to cut my next piece on the other section, then I'll roll all of this out. All right, so the pieces are dry fit into place. Again, reminder, cut around your seat belts, cut around the loops for your bench seat. The wiring harness, you can just split the sound matting up to the point where the wiring harness terminates into your low pressure pump, and slide it up that slit, and then just close it around it on the other side. Seals down just perfectly. Cut around the seatbelt on that side. So all these pieces are good to go. I'm going to peel the backing, and I'm going to lay all this into place. I did mention about vacuuming, getting all the crumbs and anything else out. Make sure you get a nice seal of the Soundskins down, and I use my roller to make sure that it rolls out really, really well. So at this point, you can go ahead and do the other side. Obviously, I haven't done mine yet. I'm going to do that off camera because it's going to be exactly the same as the driver's side. So then get that done, and then we'll bounce to the storage trunk area next. All right, also quick review here in the main cabin before we get back to the trunk to finish that up. So put everything back together, lay the carpet back down, obviously get the black trim pieces on, get the side bolster on. Remember, there's a finger at this bottom of the side bolster. When you slide this in, you just kind of snap it forward and just bang it into place. Snap this all in, make sure that those plastic pins are all in place. Put the 10mm nut back on. Work your way back up the B-pillar, make sure that it is all secure back into place. And then one thing, make sure in your door seal right here, it frequently will get pinched backwards. So if you see it pinched inward, make sure to run your finger along here and that it all comes back out and is flared out properly. I've got the air vent back in, you slide that back in. Obviously the sub is back. You slide it down and in and drive those two 10mm bolts through the Soundskins, just down into position. Not a problem there. Lay all your carpet back really, really nicely under the B-pillar. Go ahead and get your door sill back on. If those plastic posts come out, which they almost always do, you can just use a pair of pliers to get them out, put them back on the trim, and then bang that back in place. So all really good. As you can tell, I'm going to vacuum one more time. But all laid back down into place. I've got pretty much it all back together with the exception of the seats in place, which we'll talk about once we get there. I've got to get that trim on that side back on. But then let's talk about the trunk space and what we're going to do there. So for the amount of space back here, there's actually a limited amount that we're actually going to cover when it comes down to it. You know, you could potentially get underneath the battery if you wanted to. I'm not going to in this case, just because there's so many wires and so many posts and everything that I don't think it's necessarily worth it. So really, all we're going to do is this void space here. So cut out, so measure. It's going to be a nice rectangular piece here and across. And then I'm also going to do at least both side walls here and here. If you notice, we've got these big opening voids that actually go back into the frame. So we can cover those up, cut any noise that's coming through there, getting transferred from underneath. So just measure this space, measure the sidewalls for two rectangular pieces, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, so all done, as you can tell, super simple. Just 3 different pieces cut, measured and cut, fits in perfectly. You can lay the carpet down at least partially back down into place. Don't connect to your battery yet. We still need to plug in the seats. So let's go up and let's get that done. All right, so carefully lift the seats back up into place. I have this tipped back so you can see. Have the horse collar in the locked open position, slide it up into the plug, and then rock that collar back into place, and it'll lock the plug in. Make sure to put the little nylon plug back in the frame here underneath and tip your seat back into place. So at that point, you can just rough position it in place where the bolts will be, and then you're going to need to reconnect your battery so you can run the seats forward and back again to put the bolts in. I'll have the torque values in the video description for those T50s to put them back in. Now, in addition, BMW, if you read their guides, they actually say to replace those bolts and not reuse them. I've seen people do both. I've always reused mine. If in doubt, order a new set of 8, so two sets for, one set for each side, and then replace them if you have any concerns about that. All right, so go ahead and get your seat up into place, reconnect your battery, and bolt your seats back down. All right, also the seats are in and secure, which is great. So now all we have to do is put the back bench in. Remember, it tips in. You're gonna have to feed your seat belts up through the holes in the back bench, and don't forget to feed the middle shoulder strap down through the seat and re-secure with that big T50 bolt right here, okay? So go ahead and feed that in, slot it in, put it down, get that all set up, and then you're gonna be all done. All right, y'all, one last look as we wrap up here. Everything put back together, looks great. You wouldn't think we did anything, but you'll definitely know it when you drive. So good job, clean up, go ahead and put your tools away. All right, y'all, all done. And as you can tell, this isn't a hard project, and it only takes a few simple tools to get it done. It's more time than anything else. I'm a big fan of this. I've done every single car I've owned for like the last 5 cars. And I've done client cars with this as well to really make a huge difference. It cuts road noise, it cuts tire hiss, and when the weather's bad, it cuts all of that rain noise. And it also really improves the sound floor for your stereo system. I've noticed, especially with BMWs and their underseat subs, you get those Soundskins underneath the subs, and then suddenly you have much more responsive bass because it's not being absorbed downward into the metal anymore. So I really love this project, and I think that Soundskins makes a fantastic product. I'm really grateful for them for making something that's so easy to work with and really does make a huge difference. On that note, please make sure to check out my video where I compare OEM Stage 1 and Stage 2, because I wanted to show you actual measurement comparisons and the difference that this makes and the reasons why you're going to want to do this in your car. Please make sure to click like and subscribe. It makes a genuine difference to my channel, and I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on my next video.